Chapter 1. The Trap of Endless Analysis. The illusion of certainty, and how traders lose themselves chasing data. The screens glow late into the night. Charts overlap. Indicators flash. A trader sits there, not calm, but frozen. He's waiting for that moment, the perfect signal, the perfect confirmation, the moment when everything finally makes sense. But that moment never really comes. Every new candle brings another doubt. Every tiny move feels like a warning. And so, another opportunity slips away. Not because he didn't know enough, but because he couldn't decide. That is the trap of endless analysis. We've all fallen into it. When you first start trading, everyone says knowledge is power. So you study, you memorize setups, you watch tutorials, backtest systems, and it feels productive. You convince yourself that more data means more control. But here's the truth. Control is an illusion. The market doesn't reward the one who knows everything. It rewards the one who can act with clarity, even when their mind is begging for certainty. Overanalyzing is just fear dressed up as logic. It's your mind saying, if I just gather a little more data, I'll finally be safe. But there's no such thing as safety in trading, only risk, probability, and process. When you're stuck analyzing, you're really just avoiding emotion. You're trying to trade without discomfort, without doubt. But mastery starts when you learn to make decisions with those feelings still there. Think about it. How many times have you hesitated, waiting for one more confirmation, and then watched the move play out without you? And then you spiral. If only I'd trusted my plan. If only I wasn't so cautious. That's not a lack of skill, that's a lack of self-trust. Because underneath all that analysis lies one thing: the fear of being wrong. We're taught that being wrong means failure. But in trading, being wrong is just the cost of doing business. Even the best traders lose, often. The difference? They don't take it personally. They analyze, they act, they accept. To them, analysis is a tool, not a trap. Picture this. Two traders. One spends hours dissecting every chart, waiting for the universe to align before pulling the trigger. The other's done his homework to find his edge and acts when his setup shows up. Who wins? Not the one who analyzes the most, but the one who trusts the most. Because every trade reflects your relationship with uncertainty. And if you can't embrace uncertainty, you'll always chase the illusion of control. Let's go deeper. There's comfort in analysis. Your brain releases little hits of dopamine while you do it. It feels productive, but it's a trap, like scratching an itch that never goes away. Your growth doesn't happen while you're overthinking. It happens after the decision, in the silence that follows, when your emotions rise and you choose discipline over impulse. That's where growth lives, not in more data, but in deeper trust. Let's call it what it is: analysis paralysis. It's not hesitation, it's emotional overload disguised as logic. You're not analyzing the market, you're analyzing your fear. Your mind whispers, what if I'm too early? What if I'm wrong again? What if this time's different? And so, instead of trading, you think yourself out of action. The result? Stagnation, frustration, self-doubt. But there's another path. You can simplify. You can trust. You can build a process so clear, so structured, that emotion no longer drives you. Execution does. Simplicity is strength. When your strategy's simple, your mind stays focused on what matters: your state of mind. The best traders don't need 20 indicators. They just need one thing: alignment between logic and intuition. So, how do you break free from the trap? First, recognize it. Ask yourself, am I analyzing to understand, or am I analyzing to avoid? Second, trust your prep. If you've done the work, if you've tested and refined, act. Execution takes courage, and courage is a muscle that only grows through use. Third, detach from the outcome. Your job isn't to predict. Your job is to manage yourself, to stay consistent through chaos. When you accept that, your analysis becomes your guide, not your prison. The market doesn't demand perfection. It demands presence. And presence begins when you stop chasing certainty and start trusting your training. You don't need to analyze more. You need to feel more. Feel the rhythm of the market. Feel your emotions and act with awareness, not fear. Because the real edge isn't in the data. It's in the mind that interprets it. In the end, trading mastery isn't about knowing what happens next. It's about knowing yourself when it does. That's the difference between the trader who freezes and the one who flows. The one who hesitates is still fighting for control. The one who flows has already let go. So remember this: you can't think your way to confidence. You have to train your way there through repetition, trust, and simplicity. And in the next chapter, we'll move beyond logic into the silent force that guides every great trader: instinct. We'll explore how your subconscious already knows what your charts can't tell you, and how learning to trust that quiet inner voice might just be your greatest trading skill of all.
Chapter 2: The Forgotten Power of Instinct. Why logic alone won't make you a successful trader. The room's quiet. No notifications, no alerts, no noise. Just the soft hum of the computer and the steady flicker of candles forming on the screen. A trader sits there, eyes focused, breathing calm. He's not calculating, he's not forcing it. He's feeling the market. It's like he already knows what's coming next, not because of some secret indicator, but because he's seen this story before. The rhythm, the tempo, the way the market breathes. That is instinct. Instinct is the bridge between knowledge and action, the invisible thread that connects data to decision. But in a world obsessed with charts and logic, instinct has almost become taboo. It's as if feeling the market makes you less professional. Truth is, it's the opposite. The best traders aren't purely analytical. They're intuitive, guided by experience, trained awareness, and quiet confidence. We're taught that success in trading comes from perfect logic and flawless strategy. But logic alone can only take you so far. Logic processes what's visible. Instinct senses what's missing. Logic moves in straight lines. Instinct reads between them. When logic hits its limit, instinct steps in. And that's where mastery begins. Neuroscience actually backs this up. Your brain is constantly collecting data even when you're not aware of it. Every tick, every candle, every emotional reaction stored in your subconscious. Over time, those experiences connect, forming micro-patterns your conscious mind can't even see. So when you feel that subtle urge, that quiet whisper saying, "Not this trade," it's not magic. It's your subconscious recognizing something it's seen before. That's what we call a gut feeling, your brain's fastest form of intelligence. But most traders ignore it. Why? Because instinct doesn't come with proof. It can't be backtested or plotted on a chart. It requires trust, and that's something most traders struggle with. We've been trained to validate every thought with logic. But the market doesn't reward certainty, it rewards flow. And flow only happens when logic and intuition move as one. Think back to your best trades, the ones that felt effortless. Did you overthink them, or did you just know? That's the forgotten power we're here to rediscover. Instinct doesn't replace analysis, it refines it. It's not about throwing data away, it's about knowing when to stop analyzing and start feeling. When you develop instinct, you stop reacting and start resonating. You begin to sense shifts before they appear. You feel momentum, not from what's shown, but from what's missing. That quiet sensitivity is what separates mechanical traders from intuition masters. So why does instinct fade? When you're new, you trade on feel. You follow your gut. Then you discover charts, books, indicators, experts, and slowly that inner voice gets buried under the noise. You stop trusting what you sense and start chasing what others say. But here's the irony. As you gain knowledge, your instinct doesn't weaken. It just gets silenced. The goal isn't to choose between logic or instinct, it's to let them coexist. So how do you rebuild that connection? It starts with stillness. When you slow down, you start hearing the subtle rhythm again, the tone of the market, the breath of price. You notice what others miss, the hesitation before a breakout, the exhaustion before a reversal, the way volume breathes before a move. You start feeling the crowd's psychology, not just its motion. Here's a simple exercise. Before every session, sit quietly for 1 minute. No charts, no data, just breathe. Then when you open your platform, don't rush. Just observe. Ask yourself, what do I feel about this market right now? Not what you think, what you feel. You'll be surprised how often your body already knows the answer your mind is trying to find. Top traders don't chase certainty. They cultivate sensitivity. They've trained their instincts through repetition, failure, and reflection. They don't fight the market's rhythm. They listen to it. And that's the difference between trying to predict and learning to align. Your instinct sharpens through experience, but only if you reflect on it. Every trade teaches your subconscious something new, but if you move on too fast, that lesson never sticks. So after each session, replay your decisions. Ask yourself, what did I sense, and what did I ignore? That reflection feeds your subconscious, turning random gut feelings into refined insight. That's how instinct evolves. Not by guessing, but by learning with awareness. The real danger isn't that traders lack instinct, it's that they drown it in noise. Noise from social media, noise from experts, noise from constant doubt. But your best edge has always been inside you. Charts are just reflections of human behavior, and instinct is your bridge to understanding that behavior. When you learn to trust your inner signal as much as your indicators, your trading transforms. A powerful trader isn't the one who knows everything. It's the one who knows when to stop thinking. Because in that stillness, that calm, confident awareness, instinct rises. And when instinct and logic meet, your trades begin to flow with the market, not against it. That's where consistency lives. That's where peace begins. As you move forward, remember, instinct isn't a gift, it's a muscle. It gets stronger every time you trust it, and weaker every time you ignore it. So learn to listen, because the market speaks, not just through numbers, but through rhythm, emotion, and silence. And in that silence lies your deepest wisdom. In the next chapter, we'll go deeper into that silence. We'll learn how to filter out the noise, not just from the market, but from your own mind. Because clarity doesn't come from more information. It comes from peace within.
Chapter 3. Silence the Noise. Finding Clarity in Chaos. The art of filtering information and calming the mental storm. The markets are open. Candles move fast. Screens glow bright, and your mind races to keep up. Notifications ping. Analysts post their opinions. Traders shout their predictions. And in seconds, your focus scatters. You scroll, you compare, you second-guess. And suddenly, that plan you had so clearly yesterday now feels uncertain, fragile, incomplete. That's what noise does. It doesn't just distract you, it dismantles your peace. Noise isn't just sound, it's psychological clutter. It's the endless swirl of opinions, headlines, charts,
alerts, and emotions that crowd your head until your inner voice gets drowned out. And in trading, that inner voice, your calm awareness, your intuition, that's everything. Without it, you lose your edge. Because when your mind's loud, you can't hear the market, and you definitely can't hear yourself. The modern trader lives under constant exposure. Every second there's data, updates, predictions. Every move you make is echoed by 1,000 others online, telling you what they think you should do. But here's the truth most traders miss. The market doesn't reward the one who listens the most. It rewards the one who listens the least. Because silence isn't emptiness, it's clarity. Let's be real. You probably got into trading for freedom. Freedom of time, freedom of mind. But somewhere along the way, you became chained to information. You started confusing awareness with obsession. You began believing that staying updated meant staying ahead. But the irony is, the more connected you are to noise, the less connected you are to truth. There's a big difference between information and insight. Information fills your head. Insight clears it. Information makes you react. Insight helps you stay still. Every trader has to decide, will you live in reaction or trade from reflection? Let me tell you a story. There was a trader named Armand. He had 5 screens, 10 indicators, and a constant feed of live news. He prided himself on being plugged in, but he was never consistent. He'd crush it one week, then spiral the next. Every move he made was driven by something external, a tweet, a forecast, a sudden fear. One day, after a brutal streak of losses, he shut everything down, moved his laptop to a quiet corner, left just one chart open. No indicators, no noise. At first, the silence was uncomfortable, but then something shifted. He began to see again, not just data, but rhythm. The market hadn't changed. He had. He realized that clarity doesn't come from adding more screens. It comes from subtracting what doesn't matter. That's the art of silence in trading. It's not just about blocking distractions. It's about mastering your internal state. Because noise doesn't just live around you, it lives within you. It's that voice that says, check again. Don't miss out. Maybe you're wrong. And every time you obey that voice, you give a piece of your peace away. To silence the noise, you've got to learn to sit with discomfort, to let uncertainty breathe, without trying to fix it. That's where calm is built, not in the absence of chaos, but in your ability to stay still within it. So how do you do that? First, create space before decisions. Don't trade from reaction. When you feel the urge to act, pause. Ask yourself, is this coming from my plan or my emotion? If it's emotion, wait. Stillness sharpens perception. Second, limit your inputs. Choose 1 or 2 trusted data sources and ignore the rest. You don't need 10 forecasts to confirm your setup. You need one clear edge and a calm mind to execute it. Remember, the market doesn't care how informed you are. It only responds to how disciplined you are. Third, build rituals of silence. Start your day without your phone. Before you open the charts, take a few slow breaths. Feel the quiet before the volatility starts. A clear mind isn't just peace, it's a competitive advantage. Silence is your reset button. And once you practice this, you'll notice something powerful. The less you consume, the more you see. You start catching subtle shifts. You stop overreacting to every price move. You begin to trust your preparation. Noise turns you into a follower. Silence turns you into a strategist. But there's another kind of noise. deeper than the rest. Emotional noise. This is the chatter inside your own thoughts. Fear of missing out. Fear of loss. Fear of judgment. It's that voice saying, you should have held longer. You missed your chance. You'll never be consistent. Emotional noise is dangerous because it disguises itself as logic. It makes you believe that overthinking is responsibility, that stress equals effort. But real effort in trading isn't about how hard you think, it's about how clearly you listen. Here's a trick to calm that inner storm. When emotions rise, don't fight them, name them. Say to yourself, this is fear. This is greed. This is impatience. By naming the emotion, you step outside it. You move from being inside the storm to observing it from above. That's emotional clarity, the foundation of calm execution. And in that silence, something almost magical happens. You stop analyzing the market and start sensing it. You trade with awareness, not attachment. You become responsive, not reactive. Then one day you realize chaos was never the enemy, noise was. Chaos is just the market's natural rhythm. Noise is the static that distorts it. When you silence that static, inside and out, chaos becomes clarity. The calm trader isn't the one who never feels pressure. It's the one who feels it and still acts from peace. That's where confidence begins. Not from ego, not from arrogance, but from presence. And that leads us to the next chapter, because silence brings clarity, but confidence gives that clarity direction. In the next part of this journey, we'll talk about confidence without ego, the kind of confidence that doesn't need to prove anything, the kind that stays humble in success and calm in loss. Because real confidence, like silence, speaks softly, but it moves with power.
Chapter 4. Confidence without ego. The fine line between belief and overconfidence. A trader leans back in his chair, a quiet grin on his face. He's on a hot streak, 3 solid wins in a row. Every setup hit perfectly, every entry right on time. For a second, he feels untouchable, unstoppable. He tells himself, I've mastered this game. But the market hears that and smiles, because that's usually when it strikes back. Confidence is vital in trading, but it can turn dangerous fast when it crosses into ego. There's a razor-thin line between the two. One empowers you, the other blinds you. Confidence says, I trust my process. Ego says, I can't be wrong. And that small difference, it's what separates growth from collapse. Let's get one thing straight. Confidence isn't arrogance. Confidence is calm. It's quiet. It doesn't need to prove anything. It just knows. Real confidence is built through repetition, patience, and self-trust. It doesn't come from lucky trades. It comes from the discipline to stay consistent when the outcome's uncertain. Ego, on the other hand, feeds off results. It lives for short-term wins and constant validation. It whispers, you're better than the market. And the second you believe that, you stop listening. Trading will test your ego harder than anything else. After a loss, ego wants revenge. After a win, ego wants more. It pushes you to overtrade, to go big too soon, to try controlling something that can't be controlled. But here's the truth. The market humbles everyone, eventually. The question isn't if you'll be humbled, it's how you'll respond when it happens. Will you spiral into frustration, or let humility sharpen your edge? The strongest traders don't chase being right. They chase being aware. They know confidence without discipline is just noise. They understand belief means nothing without control. At its core, confidence is the art of trusting yourself without needing to prove yourself. It's quiet conviction, the ability to act decisively and accept whatever comes next. That's strength that lasts. There's a saying among seasoned traders: confidence is built in silence. Ego is destroyed in it. When you strip away the noise, the opinions, the scoreboard, the competition, what's left is you and your reflection. How you handle wins, how you handle losses. Confidence isn't measured by profit. It's measured by presence, by how grounded you stay no matter what the market throws at you. So what does real confidence look like? It's the trader who cuts a losing position without hesitation, not out of fear, but out of respect for the plan. It's the trader who sticks to the system after 3 losses, not because they're stubborn, but because they trust their edge. It's the trader who wins and still says, stay sharp, stay humble. Confidence isn't loud. It doesn't celebrate. It just continues. Ego, though, is sneaky. It pretends to be strength, but it's really insecurity in disguise. Ego needs to win to feel worthy. Confidence is worthy win or lose. Ego chases validation. Confidence chases growth. And that difference decides whether you survive the emotional roller coaster of trading. Here's the irony. Ego doesn't just show up in success. It hides in defeat, too. When you say, I can't believe I lost, or I should have known better, that's ego talking. Because it assumes you're supposed to be perfect. But trading isn't about perfection. It's about alignment. You align with your edge. You execute. You accept. That's it. When you truly get that, you stop taking losses personally. You stop letting wins define your worth. You find balance. There's a beauty in humility. It's not weakness. It's refined strength. Humility keeps you grounded when you win, and standing tall when you fall. That's why the best traders seem emotionless. Not because they're fearless, but because they've learned to respect both outcomes equally. They don't ride the highs too high, and they don't sit in the lows too long. They just move forward. That's confidence without ego. Think of trading like surfing. The waves rise and fall. You can't control them, but you can control your balance. The moment you think you've conquered the ocean, it reminds you who's boss. Confidence helps you ride the rhythm. Ego makes you fight it. And in that fight, you lose your flow, your awareness, your calm. The best traders don't conquer the market. They dance with it. They move with its rhythm. They respect its power. Because mastery in trading isn't about dominance. It's about harmony. So how do you build confidence without ego? First, define your identity beyond your results. You are not your trades. You are not your P&L. Detach your worth from your outcomes. You are a student of the market, always learning, always evolving. Second, build consistency through small wins. Confidence grows from repetition. When you follow your process day after day, trust deepens. You don't need perfection. You just need integrity. Third, reflect instead of react. After every session, ask yourself, did I trade from clarity or from emotion? That question keeps you honest and keeps ego in check. Confidence without ego also takes patience. The kind of confidence that lasts is built slowly, on evidence, not luck. When you've seen yourself recover from losses, when you've proven you can stay disciplined under pressure, that's when belief turns into truth. And truth doesn't need validation. The calmest traders are often the most dangerous, not because they're fearless, but because they're composed. They've mastered themselves, not the market. That's what makes them unstoppable. They win quietly,
They lose gracefully. And through it all, their confidence never wavers, because it's built on trust, not results. Remember this. Confidence isn't the absence of doubt. It's the ability to act despite it. It's the stillness in the middle of the storm. And when you reach that level of balance, something incredible happens. Your thoughts slow down. Your reactions soften. And your trading starts to flow effortlessly, as if time itself bends to your rhythm. That's where we're headed next. In the following chapter, we'll explore the flow state of a focused mind, how elite traders enter that zone where analysis fades, time slows, and trading transforms from logic to art.
Chapter 5. The Flow State of a Focused Mind. When time slows down and trading becomes art. A trader sits quietly in front of his screens. Candlesticks flicker across the chart, red, green, then still. There's no tension in his hands, no rush in his breathing. Every movement feels intentional. Every decision flows, smooth, natural, effortless. He's not overthinking. He's in sync. Right now, there's no fear of loss, no hunger for gain. Just rhythm. A silent connection between him and the market. It's like time has slowed down. The noise is gone. This is the flow state. Every trader's felt a taste of it. Those rare moments when everything just clicks. When analysis fades and instinct takes over. When the market stops feeling chaotic and starts feeling alive. You're not reacting anymore. You're anticipating. You're not guessing. You're sensing. It feels effortless. It feels right. But for most people, it doesn't last. It slips away the moment emotion, doubt, or distraction creeps back in. So the question is, how do you find that state again? And more importantly, how do you stay there? Psychologists call it an optimal experience. Athletes call it being in the zone. Artists call it the creative trance. For traders, it's that headspace where clarity meets precision. Flow isn't luck. It's not some mystical force. It's simply your brain in perfect alignment. Your focus sharp, your body relaxed, your awareness wide open. In that state, your inner critic goes quiet. You stop judging yourself. You stop forcing control. You just are. And that's when you perform your best naturally. Let's break it down. Your brain has two main modes. The analytical, where you calculate, plan, and evaluate. And the intuitive, where you trust your training and move effortlessly. Most traders live stuck in the first mode, constantly analyzing, chasing certainty, terrified of mistakes. But the greats, they merge the two. They prepare with logic and execute with instinct. That fusion, that's the flow. It's the moment your conscious mind steps aside and your subconscious, the part trained through repetition, takes over. You stop trying to trade perfectly, and instead, you become the trade. Now, you've probably felt the opposite too, when your mind's loud, restless, chaotic. Every tick feels personal. Every loss hits your ego. That's your fight or flight brain, wired for survival, not mastery. Flow is the antidote. It's the opposite of panic. It's where effort dissolves into presence. So how do you get there on purpose? Flow doesn't just happen. You create the conditions for it. Let's walk through them step by step. Step 1. Clarity. The mind can't flow through chaos. You need a plan. Entry, risk, target, all locked in before the session starts. Once that structure's in place, your mind relaxes. It stops second-guessing. Preparation is freedom. It gives your intuition room to breathe. The clearer your routine, the quieter your thoughts. Step 2. Breathing. Your breath is the remote control for your state. Before you trade, try this. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4, exhale slowly for 6. Do that 3 times. As you breathe, imagine your thoughts settling like dust in still water. The noise fades. Your focus sharpens. This simple ritual activates your calm response system, shifting you from tension to presence. It's your bridge between awareness and flow. Step 3. Let go of attachment. The second you need a trade to work, you lose the flow. Attachment tightens the mind. It pulls you out of the process and into the outcome. Flow demands trust, not apathy, but confidence in your edge. You don't need to control every candle. You just need to play your part and let the market play its. When you stop chasing results, rhythm returns. Step 4. Ritual cues. Top performers use rituals to trigger flow on command. A trader might light a candle before each session. Another might put on the same instrumental track. Some sit in the same chair, wear the same watch, use the same notebook. Those cues whisper to your brain, it's go time. Over time, those small rituals become anchors, shortcuts into flow. Now, you might wonder, if flow feels effortless, does that mean I stop thinking? Not exactly. You're still thinking, but lighter. Your thoughts move like breath, rhythmic, natural, unforced. In flow, logic and instinct move as one. That's why the best traders describe their peak moments not as exciting, but as calm. No adrenaline, no noise, just clarity. Here's the paradox. Flow doesn't guarantee wins. It guarantees alignment. You won't control the result, but you'll always control your reaction. Even when a trade fails, you'll feel composed because you executed with integrity, not emotion. That's real mastery. And the more often you trade from that space, the steadier your mind becomes, not just in the market, but in life. Picture this. You're in front of your charts. Your breathing is slow. You've done your prep. You know your plan. The market drifts into your setup. You don't chase. You don't flinch. You just flow. You click in, not from excitement, not from fear, but from clarity. Your heart stays steady. Your hand stays calm. You're not trading anymore. You're expressing. At that moment, trading stops feeling like work and starts feeling like meditation. It becomes art. That is the flow state. Now, one last key, emotion. Flow and emotion are deeply connected. You don't reach flow by fighting your feelings. You reach it by listening to them. Because emotion is information. It tells you when you're forcing, when you're afraid, when you're chasing. When you learn to read those signals instead of resisting them, your awareness sharpens. Your emotional intelligence becomes your edge. The next level of your trading psychology isn't in more data. It's in deeper self-awareness. Your emotions aren't the enemy. They're your compass. And that's where we're headed next. In the next chapter, we'll explore the emotional compass, how to decode fear, greed, and doubt. You'll learn how each emotion reveals what your mind needs most, and how to turn emotional reactions into powerful teachers. Because once you can read yourself clearly, you can master the market completely.
Chapter 6. The Emotional Compass. How fear, greed, and doubt reveal what you need to learn next. The market opens, and within seconds, your heart starts racing. The charts move and you feel that familiar rush, part excitement, part unease. You know your plan, you know your risk, and yet emotions start stirring beneath the surface. Fear whispers, "Don't enter. What if it fails?" Greed tempts, "Double your size. This one's it." Doubt creeps in. "Maybe wait just a little longer." Sound familiar? You're not alone. Every trader, from total beginner to seasoned pro, faces the same internal storm. But the difference between average and elite traders isn't the absence of emotion, it's how they relate to it. Most traders are told to suppress emotions, to stay cold, be mechanical, detach. But that's not mastery, that's denial. Emotion is part of the human design. You can't silence it, but you can learn to read it. And once you do, emotion stops being your weakness and becomes your most powerful compass. Think of emotions like a dashboard. Every feeling is a signal, a light flashing on your inner control panel. Fear, greed, doubt. They're not enemies, they're feedback, data about what's happening inside you. And when you learn to interpret those signals, you stop reacting blindly and start responding intelligently. Let's break them down. Fear, the shadow of uncertainty. Fear is the oldest instinct we've got. It kept our ancestors alive, but in the market, that same instinct can work against us. You fear losing. You fear missing out. You fear being wrong. But behind every fear is a truth. Fear of loss? Your position size is probably too big. Fear of missing out? You're lacking patience. Fear of being wrong? Your ego's too attached. Each form of fear points to an area that's out of alignment. So when fear shows up before a trade, don't push it away. Observe it. Ask yourself, what's this emotion trying to protect? Maybe it's reminding you to manage risk. Maybe it's warning you that your plan isn't solid yet. Or maybe it's just testing your trust in your own system. Fear isn't a red light. It's a signal to realign. Greed, the illusion of control. Greed doesn't always come with wild excitement. Sometimes it hides behind ambition. It whispers, just one more trade, just a little bigger, just hold a bit longer. But the real message behind greed is simple. You don't trust enough. Greed is born when you stop believing there'll be another opportunity. It's scarcity thinking disguised as hunger. It tells you this trade is your only shot, and in that moment, you lose perspective. Greed narrows your focus. It pulls you out of the process and traps you in the outcome. The antidote isn't rejection, it's abundance. Remind yourself, the market will always give me another chance. I don't need this one to work, I just need to execute well. Greed fades when you stop trying to take more and start trusting more. Doubt, the space between growth and resistance. Doubt's more subtle. It doesn't shout, it whispers. It asks, am I good enough? Did I read this right? What if I blow it again? But doubt has a purpose. It shows up when you're standing on the edge of growth. Whenever you're about to level up, your old self fights back. The mind resists the unfamiliar. It creates hesitation to keep you safe. So recognize doubt for what it really is. Not a warning, but a threshold. Every time you feel doubt and still act with discipline, you prove to your mind that faith is stronger than fear. Doubt is the gatekeeper of progress, and every great trader learns to walk right through it. Listening, not fighting. Fear, greed, doubt. 3 emotions traders spend their careers trying to kill. But what if you didn't fight them? What if you listened? What if you treated each one like a mentor, showing you exactly where you're still attached, reactive, or learning? Because that's what emotions really are. They're reflections of your trading consciousness. They don't lie. They don't flatter. They just tell the truth, if you're willing to hear it.
The separation, you versus the trade. Picture this. You take a position. The price dips slightly against you. Your stomach tightens. Your finger hovers over close. Pause. Ask yourself, is this fear of losing or fear of being wrong? Am I reacting to price or to my ego? That awareness, that split second of observation turns chaos into clarity. Because the moment you can see the emotion without becoming it, you're free. The real secret, understanding, not control. Here's a truth most traders never grasp. You don't need to control your emotions, you just need to understand what they're teaching you. Fear teaches risk awareness, greed teaches trust and contentment, doubt teaches faith in preparation. When you embrace those lessons, emotions stop hijacking your mind. They start fueling your intelligence. And there's science behind it. Emotions aren't random. They're biochemical signals that fire faster than thought. Your brain reacts to perceived danger or reward before logic even kicks in. But your prefrontal cortex, the rational mind, can reframe it. When you name the emotion, you calm the fear center of your brain. That's why simply saying, "I feel anxious," actually reduces anxiety. Awareness rewires reactivity. That's real emotional regulation, not suppression, and it's the foundation of trading mastery. The three-step emotional awareness practice. Step 1, notice the emotion. Whenever you feel tension or excitement, silently name it: fear, greed, doubt. Step 2, decode the message. Ask yourself, what's this emotion trying to tell me? Find the lesson behind the feeling. And step 3, respond with structure. Let your trading plan guide the next move, not your emotion. Let logic lead, not impulse. Do this often, and emotions stop being storms. They start acting like compasses. As you grow, you'll start noticing something powerful. Your emotions mirror your level of self-trust. The less you trust your system, the louder fear gets. The more you chase results, the stronger greed grows. The less you believe in your preparation, the heavier doubt feels. The emotional compass always points back to trust. And that leads us to the next stage of mastery, the discipline of letting go. Because once you've learned to read your emotions, the next step is trusting yourself through them. Trusting your plan when fear screams. Trusting your system when greed tempts. Trusting your training when doubt whispers. This trust isn't blind, it's earned through repetition, reflection, and awareness. Up next, the paradox of control. In the next chapter, we'll dive deeper into that trust and uncover the paradox of control. You'll learn how true mastery doesn't come from tightening your grip, but from releasing it. You'll see what it really means to let your trades play out with calm confidence, to let the market move freely while you remain centered, disciplined, and unshaken. Because once trust becomes your foundation, emotions lose their power and flow returns.
Chapter 7. The Discipline of Trust. Letting go of control while keeping your structure. The chart's open, your plan's locked in, your entry triggers. And now, the hardest part begins. You wait. You've done the analysis. You've checked your levels, confirmed your bias, managed your risk. There's nothing left to do but let the trade play out. But inside, a storm starts brewing. You refresh the chart. You zoom in. You stare at every tick, like your focus could somehow move the market. The urge to interfere is strong. You want to protect it, fix it, force it. And this is where most traders lose. Not because their system failed, but because they couldn't trust it long enough to work. Trust is the invisible skill behind every consistent trader. You won't find it written in your trading plan or coded into your indicators. It's built through experience, patience, and emotional discipline. Trust is what separates the trader who reacts from the trader who responds. And yet trust feels backwards because it asks you to let go in a world that tells you to take control. Here's the truth most traders overlook. Control is an illusion. You can control your risk, you can control your position size, you can control your preparation. But you can't control the market. No amount of screen watching, tweaking, or wishful thinking can bend price to your will. The market doesn't reward control, it rewards alignment. And alignment starts with trust. So, what does it mean to trust? It's not blind faith, it's not laziness, it's not sitting back and hoping. Trust is active discipline. It's choosing to believe in your system after you've done the work. It's holding your position when emotion screams to exit early. It's following your stop loss instead of your fear. It's sticking to your target when greed whispers just a little more. Trust is the bridge between preparation and patience. Picture a pilot flying through clouds. He can't see the horizon. He can't rely on his eyes. He's got to trust his instruments because they tell the truth even when perception lies. That's trading. Your system is your instrument panel. Your rules are your gauges. Your emotions, they're the turbulence trying to knock you off course. You can't see what's ahead, but your process can. Your job is to trust it. Now, why is trust so hard? Because the human brain craves certainty. It's wired to avoid risk, escape discomfort, chase safety. But trading? Trading's a game of probabilities, not guarantees. You'll never have certainty, only structure. Most traders overtrade or overanalyze not because they're reckless, but because they're uncomfortable with uncertainty. They confuse control with safety. But real safety doesn't come from controlling outcomes. It comes from controlling yourself. That's the discipline of trust. Let's reframe letting go. Letting go isn't surrender. It's acceptance. It's saying, I've done my job. Now it's time for the market to do its part. When you release control, you create space for clarity. You free your mind from tension, and that freedom sharpens your intuition. Here's the paradox. The more you trust your preparation, the more mental bandwidth you gain. And that mental space, it makes you perform better. Letting go doesn't weaken your edge, it sharpens it. Let's get practical. There are 3 layers of trust every trader must build. Trust in your system. Know your edge, inside and out. Not just how it wins, but how it loses. When you've tested it, back-tested, forward-tested, stress-tested, you've earned the right to trust it. Confidence without data is arrogance. Confidence with data, that's power. Trust in your discipline. Your systems is only strong as your ability to follow it. Every time you stick to your plan, even when it hurts, you wire your brain for consistency. You teach yourself, I can stay calm under pressure. And trust in time, the hardest one. The patience to let probabilities play out over weeks, months, years. You can't judge a system off one trait, or even 10. Zoom out. That's where consistency hides, not in ticks, but in time. Here's a mental trap to watch for. If I watch it harder, it'll work. We've all done it. Staring at a trade for hours like our focus could change the outcome. But it doesn't. All it does is drain your energy and feed anxiety. And anxiety, leads to interference. So here's a challenge. After placing a trade, step away. Set an alert. Go for a walk. Detach from the screen. If your stop or target hits, you'll know. If not, the market's just not ready. Either way, your presence won't move the chart. This simple act trains your nervous system to relax. It teaches your subconscious that inaction can also be power. There's another layer to trust most traders miss: trusting yourself. It's easy to trust when things go right, but the real test? When they don't. When a setup fails, when the market slaps you, when confidence shakes, that's when self-trust matters most. It reminds you that one trade doesn't define your worth, that consistency isn't built on winning streaks. It's built on emotional stability through loss. You can't eliminate losing trades, but you can eliminate the chaos that comes with them through trust. Picture this. You've entered a trade, stops placed, risk defined. Now, you wait. The market moves slightly against you. Temptation grows. Your mind whispers, "Close it, save yourself." But you breathe. You remember your plan. You remind yourself, "I've done my job. The outcome isn't my responsibility." That's the discipline of trust. Calm, steady, mature. And ironically, it's where your best trades are born. Elite traders share one powerful trait. They trust imperfection. They know the market won't be perfect. They know they won't be perfect. But they stay consistent anyway, because they've accepted imperfection as part of the process. That acceptance kills emotional interference. What's left is quiet confidence, the kind that doesn't shout, doesn't chase, doesn't force, just flows. When you finally learn to trust your plan, your system, your timing, your rhythm changes. You stop trying to control outcomes and start flowing with probabilities. You stop fearing uncertainty and start respecting it. That's when trading transforms from reaction to rhythm. It's no longer about predicting, it's about participating. Let's close with this truth. Trust doesn't mean the absence of fear. It means you move forward despite fear because your faith in preparation is stronger. The disciplined trader doesn't avoid emotion, he transcends it. He trusts his structure, his system, his self. And with that trust, clarity replaces chaos, patience replaces panic, and flow replaces force. In the next chapter, we'll explore what happens when this trust meets something deeper: intuition. Because once you've built trust in your structure, you unlock the other side of mastery, where logic and instinct move as one. We'll dive into how elite traders blend data with gut feeling, how they sense the market's tone beyond numbers, and how intuition, when guided by structure, becomes your sharpest edge.
Chapter 8: When Intuition Meets Data. The balance between strategy and subconscious wisdom. There comes a moment in every trader's journey when charts stop looking like numbers and start to feel alive. You notice subtle shifts in tempo. You sense hesitation in price movement, as if the market itself is breathing. No indicator triggers, no pattern fully forms, and yet, something inside you knows. This is intuition. Not luck, not guessing, but the quiet voice of experience cutting through the noise. Most traders start with data. We study systems, we memorize setups, we analyze probabilities, statistics, and edge. That foundation matters. It creates structure, logic, and confidence. But eventually, numbers stop being enough.
You can have all the data in the world and still feel out of sync with the market. Because trading isn't just science, it's also art. And the bridge between the two is intuition. What intuition really is, it isn't mysticism. It's not a psychic gift. It's your subconscious processing information faster than your conscious mind can measure. Every chart you've studied, every mistake you've made, every pattern you've seen repeat, your brain stores all of it. And over time, it begins to recognize patterns without conscious analysis. That quick hit of something feels off, that's your brain comparing thousands of micropatterns in milliseconds. It is data, just a different kind. Think of the pro trader who glances at a setup and says, "Something about this doesn't look clean." He might not explain it logically, but experience has trained his intuition to detect imbalance in volatility, rhythm, even candle behavior. He's not guessing. He's listening to the subconscious data the eye can't label. That's where intuition and analysis meet. Logic builds the framework. Intuition sharpens the edge. Two sides of the trading mind. The analyst, logical, structured, rule-driven, wants clarity, confirmation, and data. Builds systems and frameworks. The intuitive, fluid, perceptive, creative, senses tone, context, momentum, feels shifts before they show up on the chart. Great traders don't choose one over the other. They find harmony between the two. Because when intuition and data work together, trading becomes flow, not friction. How pros blend intuition with analysis. Step 1. Ground intuition in data. Before you trust your gut, earn that right. Backtest, journal, study your setups, give your subconscious enough material to work with. Intuition without structure is noise. Intuition after structure is wisdom. Step 2. Listen to discomfort. Sometimes a textbook setup doesn't feel right. That's not fear, that's awareness. Market tone, news risk, volatility rhythm. Your subconscious might be catching something you don't consciously see. Pros respect that feeling. They pause. They observe. They verify. Step 3. Practice mindful observation. Spend time watching the market without trying to trade it. No entries, no pressure. Just observe. Patterns reveal themselves to a quiet mind. Intuition grows in that stillness. A real example. A swing trader sees a perfect breakout setup. Volumes rising, structure looks clean, everything says go, but it feels too obvious, too crowded, too excited. His intuition whispers, trap. So he waits. Minutes later, price fakes out and reverses hard. What saved him wasn't just data, it was awareness beyond data. That's intuition. The silent partner logic can't replace. But intuition is subtle. It speaks softly. It can't be heard through noise, stress, or overtrading. If you're anxious, you won't hear it. If you're chasing, you'll override it. If you're forcing, you'll silence it. Intuition needs space. That's why elite traders meditate, journal, take breaks, not for relaxation, but for clarity. Because intuition grows in mental silence, not in mental chaos. But intuition isn't infallible. Even the best misread it sometimes. That's why they never rely on intuition alone. They let it guide them, not dominate them. If your intuition says something's off, you don't blindly follow it. You investigate. You compare it with your rules. You ask yourself, what is this feeling trying to tell me? That's the dialogue between logic and instinct. Not one leading, both contributing. Training the relationship. Every day after trading, journal not only what happened, but what you felt. Did your gut hesitate before losing trade? Did you sense momentum before a big move? Over time, a pattern emerges. You'll learn when your intuition is accurate and when it's just emotion pretending to be intuition. This turns intuition from vague feeling into measurable insight, a skill you can trust intelligently. The surfer analogy. A surfer studies the ocean, tide, wind, current. That's his analysis. But when the right wave rises, he doesn't calculate. He feels it. His body moves before his mind decides. That's flow, intuition built on preparation. Trading works the same way. Your charts are the ocean. Your strategy is the surfboard. But intuition? Intuition is your balance. When all three align, you stop fighting the market and start moving with it. When intuition and data merge, the market stops feeling like an enemy to outsmart and becomes a language you understand. Data becomes alive. Price movement has tone. Volatility has rhythm. The market has a pulse you can feel. That's trading mastery, a conversation between mind and market, analysis and instinct, logic and awareness. The gateway, presence. You can't reach this state if your mind is stuck in the past or scared of the future. Intuition only lives in the now. It can't speak through regret. It can't speak through fear of what might happen. It speaks when you're present enough to hear it. To merge intuition with data, you must return to the present moment. And that brings us to what comes next. In the next chapter, we'll explore what it truly means to trade from the present. We'll talk about releasing the past, letting go of revenge trading, fear of loss, and anxiety about the unknown. We'll step into a state where intuition thrives, decisions become clear, and your mind and the market finally move as one. Because when your awareness returns to now, your edge becomes limitless.
Chapter 9. Trading from the present moment. Freeing yourself from past losses and future fears. There's a moment every trader knows too well. The charts are glowing in front of you, but your mind's somewhere else. Part of you's still stuck in that last loss, replaying what went wrong, wishing you'd closed sooner. Another part of you's already in the future, imagining the next win, dreading the next mistake. And in between those two, the present moment slips right through your fingers. That's where clarity fades. That's where emotions take control. That's where good setups turn into self-sabotage. At its core, trading isn't about predicting the future. It's about responding to now. But most traders don't even realize it. They're not really trading the market. They're trading their memories and their fears. They see a setup that looks familiar and freeze, remembering the last time it failed. Or they see profit building and close too early, afraid of losing what hasn't even been threatened yet. They're reacting to ghosts of the past and illusions of the future. Meanwhile, the market just moves, calmly, indifferently, the only way it ever really moves, forward. To trade from the present moment is to meet the market exactly as it is, not how you wish it were, and not how you fear it might be. It's the stillness behind the screen, the silence before the click, the breath that separates impulse from intention. It's not about shutting off your emotions. It's about being aware of them without letting them drive the wheel. That's presence. That's power. Picture this. Price is approaching your zone. Your heart starts to race. Your mind whispers, "What if it breaks through? What if it reverses? What if I miss it?" Those thoughts aren't coming from the chart. They're echoes, memories of every loss, every regret, every almost. Now imagine taking one slow, conscious breath. You bring your attention back to this moment. You feel your hand on the mouse. You feel your body grounded in the chair. You look at the candles, not the story they remind you of, but the movement happening right here, right now. Suddenly, the noise fades, the chart clears up, and the right decision just appears. That's trading from presence. Presence doesn't mean forgetting the past. It means not being ruled by it. Every mistake taught you something, but the lesson lives in memory, not in fear. And presence doesn't mean ignoring the future. It means preparing for it without attachment. You plan, you set your risk, you visualize outcomes. Then, when the trade starts, you let go. Because the present moment is the only place trading truly happens. So why does this work? Not just spiritually, but psychologically. When you're lost in past or future thoughts, your brain stops observing and starts projecting. You stop seeing reality for what it is and start seeing what your emotions expect to happen. That's confirmation bias, your mind finding what it already believes. If you're fearful, you'll find reasons to exit early. If you're greedy, you'll find reasons to overstay. Either way, you're no longer trading the market. You're trading your emotional lens. Presence removes that lens. It brings you back to pure observation, data without distortion, clarity without story. So how do we actually train that presence? Here are 4 techniques used by high-performance traders and athletes. 1. The centering breath. Before you place a trade, take 1 deep breath in through your nose, hold it for a beat, then exhale slowly through your mouth. That single breath interrupts emotional momentum. It tells your nervous system you're safe, steady, and aware. You begin the trade from calm intention, not reaction. 2. The reset ritual. After a win or a loss, step away. 1 minute, 1 breath, 1 reset. This breaks emotional carryover, the thing that causes revenge trades or overconfidence. Each trade deserves a fresh mind, a blank canvas. 3. The observation practice. Spend time each week just watching charts with no trades open. Notice how price moves without the pressure of money on the line. This trains your brain to observe, not react, to see price action as information, not threat. 4. The detachment phrase. Before entering a trade, remind yourself, I accept whatever this trade brings. That doesn't mean you're careless, it means you've already accepted uncertainty, so the outcome can't control your emotions. That's freedom. When you practice these habits, something inside starts to shift. You notice your triggers before they take over. You start to see your thoughts like weather, passing clouds, not permanent storms. And with that clarity comes sharper decision-making. You wait when others rush. You cut losses clean when others cling. You follow your plan naturally, not because you're forcing yourself, but because it feels peaceful to do so. That's presence in trading. Steady, grounded, quietly confident. Here's the paradox. When you stop obsessing about outcomes, your actual results improve, because now every decision comes from truth, not tension. You're not pushing the market anymore, you're flowing with it. That's what great traders mean when they say, trade what you see, not what you think. To see clearly, you have to be here. A trader who lives in the present isn't immune to loss. They still feel fear, frustration, and doubt. But they witness those emotions instead of becoming them. When fear shows up, they observe it. When greed rises, they acknowledge it. They stay centered, grounded, aware. That awareness, that's mastery. Because emotions aren't the enemy. Unconscious reactions are. Presence turns reaction into response. It turns chaos into clarity. Think about a single candle flickering on your screen. It doesn't care about yesterday's news or tomorrow's forecast. It just moves, tick by tick, moment by moment. That candle is pure presence. And when your mind matches that same stillness, you and the market move in rhythm. That's when trading feels effortless, not because it's easy, but because you're no longer fighting reality. You're flowing with it. In the end, trading from the present moment isn't just a method, it's a mindset. It's choosing awareness over anxiety. It's finding peace in uncertainty. It's trusting that clarity only lives in one place, right here, right now. Because no trade is ever won or lost in the past or future. It's decided in this breath, this decision, this moment. As your awareness deepens, something powerful happens. You realize presence isn't just for trading, it's for life. The stillness that helps you read the market helps you understand yourself. The acceptance that frees you from revenge trading frees you from regret, comparison, and fear. Trading becomes your meditation, a mirror showing you how balanced, how calm, how aware you've become. And now, as your awareness settles into stillness, a new question appears. What happens when you trust that stillness? When you stop trying to control every tick and start trusting your preparation, your patience, your system, and yourself. That's where we're headed next. In the next chapter, we'll explore the discipline of trust, how to let go of control without losing structure, and how to find freedom inside the discipline you've built, because presence gives you clarity, but trust gives you peace.
Chapter 10. Beyond Analysis. Becoming the trader you're meant to be. The call to mastery and purpose. There comes a moment in every trader's life when the charts fade into the background and something deeper starts to whisper. You realize trading was never really about the markets. It was about you, your patience, your discipline, your ability to face uncertainty without breaking. Because every single trade, every win, every loss, every sleepless night watching a position hover in drawdown wasn't just shaping your equity curve, it was shaping your mind. Over time, you've learned to let go of the constant analysis, to quiet the noise, to build confidence without ego, to trust your intuition, and to trade from presence, not fear. You've discovered that real mastery isn't about control, it's about alignment. Alignment with your plan, alignment with your emotions, alignment with the flow of the market itself. That's the moment you stop fighting the market and start moving with it. In the beginning, maybe you thought success was all about finding the perfect strategy, the flawless setup, the secret formula. But now, you know better. Sure, the system matters, but the state of mind running that system matters more. Two traders can use the exact same strategy. One thrives, the other fails. The difference isn't the method, it's the mindset. The consistent trader doesn't chase perfection. They cultivate clarity. They know trading isn't a fight against the market, it's a conversation with it. And the quality of that conversation depends entirely on the stillness within. So let's reflect. What does it really mean to go beyond analysis? It means you don't need endless information to feel safe anymore. You stop chasing certainty in charts because you found it inside yourself. It means you trust your preparation and you accept uncertainty not as an enemy, but as the natural rhythm of the game. It means you've shifted from trying to predict the market to flowing with it. That's not indifference. That's mastery. In that space, trading becomes something deeper, almost spiritual. Each candle tells a story. Each movement becomes a mirror. And in that mirror, you start to see who you really are. Your impatience, your greed, your need for control, your resilience, your faith. Trading reveals it all, not to punish you, but to refine you.
Every emotional challenge you face on the charts is really an invitation to rise above it. Think back to when you first started. The rush of that first winning trade, the sting of your first big loss, those long, uncertain nights, wondering if you were really cut out for this. But you kept showing up. You studied. You failed. You learned. You grew. And every time you came back to the screen, you weren't just trying to become a better trader. You were becoming a more self-aware human being. That's the hidden gift of trading. It doesn't just build wealth, it builds wisdom. You see, success in trading is a paradox. The less you cling to it, the closer it gets. The less you try to force outcomes, the more naturally they flow. Because mastery isn't about pushing harder, it's about seeing clearer. Clarity creates confidence. Confidence creates patience. Patience creates profit. It all begins in the mind. Now picture a trader who's reached that point. He opens his charts in the morning, calm, focused. He sees opportunity, but feels no rush. He places his trade and lets it breathe. He doesn't check every candle. He doesn't panic at every tick, because he knows the real work was already done in his preparation, his mindset, his self-control. He's not chasing wins anymore. He's expressing mastery. And in that expression, profit becomes the natural byproduct of peace. That's what it means to trade beyond analysis, to move from doing to being. You no longer trade to prove yourself. You trade because it reflects who you've become: calm, aware, intentional. You're not trying to win against the market. You're moving with it. But this isn't the end of your journey. It's the start of a deeper one. Because trading, like life, doesn't have a finish line. Only layers of awareness to uncover. You'll still face losses. You'll still face fear. But now you'll meet them differently. With presence, with trust, with clarity. Challenges won't shake your foundation anymore. They'll strengthen it. And that's when you'll know you've crossed the threshold from trader to master. So let this be your reminder. You don't have to become someone else to succeed. You just have to become fully yourself, without the noise, without the fear, without the mask of ego. The calm within you is stronger than any market volatility. The confidence within you is wiser than any analysis. And the intuition within you, it already knows the way. Trust it. Train it. Live it. That's your edge. And as you close this audiobook, remember, the market will always test you, but it will also teach you if you're listening. Every moment of awareness, every breath before action, every decision made from clarity instead of impulse, that's a step toward mastery. That's how you evolve. That's how you become the trader you were meant to be. And if this journey spoke to you, if it helped you see that trading is more than numbers, more than charts, more than outcomes, then stay connected. Subscribe to Psych Rich, not just for trading tips, but to keep transforming the trader within you. Because true wealth doesn't begin in your account. It begins in your mind. The market rewards clarity. Life rewards growth. And both begin when you go beyond analysis.